Hey, hey, what is up? Welcome back to the program, folks. Thank you for tuning in. Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Tom Clark, and this is Tom Clark's Main Event. We're back once again on Facebook Live. Glad you are with us. We're also recording today. The show will post on YouTube and is always available on boinkstudios.com. Don't forget to subscribe on iTunes, Google Play, and iHeartRadio. This is episode number 103, and yes, we're moving right along here on Facebook Live. I want to thank everyone for joining us here, of course, and for coming back each and every week. Much thanks to Heidi Ryan and the whole crew at Wrestling Rumors for giving us this platform. We do greatly appreciate it. How's everyone doing out there? That's my usual intro. The intro of the show used to be a lot longer and had references to Blazing Saddles and to Tombstone. I know that's an odd combination, but I'm sort of a Western guy at some juncture. I don't know if juncture is the right word. So someone just mentioned Hell in a Cell. Oh, we're so going to talk about Hell in a Cell. You guys want to get down to it? You want to waste any more time? Anyone? No one? No? Good. Let's don't waste any time. Let's get down to it, okay? So this time the main event is Shawn Michaels and Hell in a Cell Fallout. The two are not entirely related. The Shawn Michaels bit of the show represents some news and headlines currently happening in the company and otherwise outside the company. We're going to get into all that. We're also going to cover some Hell in a Cell Fallout. So let's go ahead and do this. Sound good? Sounds great. Awesome. So, is Shawn Michaels coming back? Yours truly just published a column. Hey, bud, thanks for all you do. Matthew, you're the man. Thank you, sir. Thank you much. So, yours truly just wrote the reason behind Shawn Michaels' rumored return to WWE at Crown Jewel. Crown Jewel, of course, takes place in Saudi Arabia on November 2nd in Riyadh. I don't want to mispronounce the name of the city there in Saudi Arabia. But that's where it's taking place. And all the buzz right now online is that Shawn is indeed coming back. It depends on who you believe. Meltzer broke the news on Wrestling Observer. I don't know if you say broke the news. He kind of just assumes it's going to happen. I don't know how he knows this, but we all know that the precursor to this is Super Showdown on October 6th. You got Triple H versus Undertaker. Shawn Michaels will be in Hunter's corner. Kane is going to be in Taker's corner. It's DX versus the Brothers of Destruction. What's up, Chuck? Love the name, Chuck. Good afternoon to you. How's everyone out there? Keep coming on in, man. Let's do this. So how are we feeling about the potential return of Shawn Michaels to active competition in WWE? In the column, I do what I always do when I write, and that's I try to give both sides of the argument, and I try to let the reader decide at the end. I can be as opinionated as they come, and I can be that guy that shakes his finger at you and yells and screams at the top of his lungs and tells you that what I know is the smartest thing out there, and that I'm the smartest guy you're going to listen to, and I'm what's best for you to whatever, man. There's a 1,000 other guys yelling their heads off right now for you to listen to them. My main objective is to give you both sides of the argument and let you decide from there. That's just me. Everyone's saying hello and hey y'all. What's up? Hey y'all. That reminds me of the Outkast song. I love that song. If you don't like Outkast, there's something wrong with you. HBK needs to stay retired. Christopher says HBK needs to stay retired. I'm inclined to agree with that. There are two trains of thought when it comes to Shawn, and there's probably more, but to me there's two primary trains of thought when it comes to Shawn Michaels. By the way, whoever's saying that the mean faces, get a life, pal. For real, get a life. If you don't like the show, you're not forced. You get forced to watch. I mean, you can stick around instead of just clicking the button. You could actually comment and give us the reason why your panties are in a twist today. I don't know why they are, but everyone relax. It's Friday. We made it through another day. We made it through Hurricane Florence. A lot of us did. Of course, well wishes go out to the folks that had a lot of trouble on the coast. So, of course, but let's try to have fun here. Okay, if you're not here to have fun, you're kind of wasting your time and mine, everyone else's. I'm just saying. Oh, someone says, I disagree, he sucks. That's why I've nicknamed him Daniel Bryan. Who are we talking about? Shawn Michaels? Dude, stop. Are you kidding me right now? I don't know if that's what you're talking. If it's not, my apologies. But listen, there's two trains of thought when it comes to Shawn coming back. One train of thought says, Shawn retired in 2010. He hung it up. He should stick to his word, be a man of his word, and just let it go and just stay retired. The other train of thought says, listen, this is Shawn Michaels' life. It's his career. It's his body. He can do whatever he wants to do. If he wants to come back, he can come back. And what do you care if it's for a payday or not? Just let him do it. Let's see, HBK is coming back, but he doesn't need to be honest. I absolutely love them all. Been watching all my life. See, some folks just want to see this happen. They just want to see the match. So supposedly if the match happens, it will be Shawn and Hunter versus Kane and Taker on November 2nd at Crown Jewel. It's the same argument that folks have with any part-timer, but full-timer that comes out of retirement and maybe goes part-time, any legend or Hall of Famer or superstar that comes back. They have an issue with that, and I can see where they're coming from. I mean, I totally get it, but at the same time, again, it's his body, it's his life, it's his career. If he wants to come back, people keep talking about why does Taker keep coming back? Because he wants to be there. I mean, I can't speak for Undertaker's checkbook. I'm not aware of his financial situation. I'm not privy to it, okay? But if the guy obviously still has a passion for this, or otherwise he wouldn't keep doing it. So who are we to sort of sit back and criticize the intention? You can if you want to. I think you're wasting your time because the match is either going to happen or not happen. Just depends. DX versus the Brothers of Destruction is cool. A lot of people are feeling like that. It's a nice flashback to the past. People say everyone share this video. Please do. I appreciate that. And, like we said, man, if you agree or disagree, make your feelings known. We're not going to shy away from anybody out there, man. If you got something to say it. We're all ears. We'll listen. We'll respond. May not be what you want to hear, but, that's life, man. Life isn't always Guns N' Roses. Do you know what I'm saying? That's a silly one-liner. That's an inside joke. I'm not going to tell you where it came from. Moving right along. Someone's brought up Brock's name. I knew it was only a matter of time. Obviously, and I make that point in the column. Will fans look at Shawn Michaels and compare him to Brock Lesnar for the simple fact that Brock is a less than part-time superstar who comes back whenever he wants to? He signs a contract for a limited number of dates. People hold him in high resentment for that, and I can understand why. I can completely understand, and I see it. At the same time, who do you get mad at? I made the point here on the show before. You're throwing your hate at the wrong person. Don't get mad at Brock. Get mad at Vince. Be upset with WWE if you don't like the way a guy's booked. Because unless a guy's saying, listen, I want you to book me like I'm untouchable. I mean, if that's the case, then you might have a beef with Brock. So is everyone going to get upset with Shawn and compare him to Brock Lesnar? Everybody loves Taker, but the entrance is longer than the match now. Hard to argue that. I'm not going to sit here and cast any dispersions toward you for that at all, because let's be honest, Taker's up there. He's advanced in years, just like Shawn and Hunter are. You couldn't tell that by looking at Hunter. He's the freaking Terminator, man. I'm just saying. I can see where you're coming from. I'm not going to argue that point. I don't think you can argue that point. You can say that Taker can still have a better match than a lot of guys in the locker room, that he understands the psychology of the business more than a lot of guys in the locker room. I'll give you that and then some. I say that's 100% right. Let's see. Are they protecting Braun and Roman? Teaming? Is that steaming? I'm not sure what you're talking about there, Jay. My apologies for not understanding the question. They need the pass for the ratings. Okay, so another great point brought up. Is it Wally? Sorry if I didn't get the name right. Another great observation. A lot of people believe that WWE continues to bring back superstars from the past because of ratings. Because the company either needs a boost or they want a boost or whatever the case may be. They've got to sell some buys to the pay-per-view. Although I don't know how relevant that is in today's WWE landscape because of the app. I don't know because of the network. How concerned are they with pay-per-view buys as they were before? Subscriptions, maybe. Downloads and hits on the network, sure. I'm sure it's got a lot to do with it. But pay-per-view buys, I'm not real sure where that falls right now, But yeah, a lot of people agree with Wally. Hey, I'm just saying. He's got a point, man. That, WWE often reaches to the past. Sometimes it's a good thing. Other times it's not such a good thing, right? I think we could be split down the middle on this depending upon who we're talking about and what we're talking about. You know what I mean? let's see, who else has got to throw in on this? Give me your thoughts and observations, man. And by the way, of course, if you're listening to this recorded podcast, you're sort of out of the conversation, but doesn't mean you can't communicate. We'll give you ways at the end of the show in which to get in touch with us here at the show, and to give us your feedback. Of course, it's always greatly appreciated. Not a fan of Lesnar because of his return. Haven't been in the ring for a while. The Seymour. Excuse me for not. I'm sorry for not punching the Seymour button. I'm always afraid if I do too much here, bam, the feed's going to disappear. Got a phone call last week in the middle of the show, and of course the feed was interrupted. So that's always nice. I make sure to tell everyone I know, listen, I'm recording every Friday at 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time right here on Facebook Live. And that is my Mick Foley for the day, folks. Hope you enjoyed that. But, I got a phone call nevertheless. So we don't have to stay on Shawn forever. I don't think anyone disputes what Shawn Michaels means to that company, what he's meant in the past, what he continues to mean for the future. I make the comparison and see where you fall on this one with me, but I made the comparison in the column I wrote for Wrestling Rumors, comparing Shawn to Michael Jordan. In as much as Michael Jordan went out in 1998, the game-winning shot against the Utah Jazz it was a Game 6 of the NBA Finals, won the championship for the sixth time for him and the Chicago Bulls, and it was beautiful. He went out on top, last shot of the game. It was just absolutely gorgeous, and won the championship. And you could not have retired on a higher note or on a better note. I submit that Shawn Michaels could not have went out on a better note in 2010 than he did when he lost at WrestleMania 26 against The Undertaker. That was a huge moment for him in his career. It's what he wanted. And he got it. He absolutely got it. Did Jordan tarnish his reputation by coming back and playing for the Wizards? I don't know about all that. Is he tarnishing his reputation by being owner of the Charlotte Hornets? I don't know about all that either. I think that a lot of that's going to be up to history to decide, right? But no one can deny that he left on top. Shawn left on top. So why in the world would you come back now and disrupt that? Even if there was the slightest possibility that you could, disrupt the way you left and disrupt your legacy in the slightest, why would you even do it? Does Shawn care about the whole legacy thing? Does he know what he accomplished and he's confident in what he did, and he's just willing to let that be up to us to decide? Maybe that's what it is. A lot of the stuff that we lose sleep over and debate and talk about and speculate on and podcast on and write columns about is stuff that a lot of these guys and gals don't even think about, to be honest with you. And I'm not saying they're oblivious to what's being said on social media. They're obviously not. They've all got apps. I mean, how many of them don't have Snapchat and Twitter and Facebook and all that stuff? But at the same time, they've got a job to do and they've got a life to live. And it doesn't always include what we think. We're not always a part of their day-to-day lives. You know what I'm saying? So it's kind of an interesting dichotomy. It will always be that way. Let's see. Here we could see DX versus Brothers of Destruction. That's what we're talking about there, Jason, at Crown Jewel on November 2nd. That's the rumor. So let's move on from Shawn. We can touch on him again later if you want to. I keep seeing Ray's name get mentioned. Whoever mentioned Ray, how are you today? Thanks for joining us. Rey Mysterio reportedly has signed a new WWE contract. However, the contract is set for 2 years, even though he only wanted it for 18 months. That's the buzz going around right now. He only wanted it for a year and a half, and WWE talked him into 2 years. But also, supposedly, the contract includes an option to opt out at 18 months if he wants. So we'll see how that goes. Ray's no spring chicken either, folks. He looks great. He's in great shape right now. He seems to be okay physically. All the best to him. If he comes back, that's great, and it looks like he's going to. If I were WWE, I would take my time fitting him back into the storylines. I don't know where he would fall out at, and you guys might think I'm insane by even suggesting this. I say put him on 205 Live. I'm not saying that he should go in and crush guys, but man, they're doing some great stuff on 205 Live. If you don't watch the show, you need to give it a chance. I'm hoping it will do better on Wednesdays. I'm hoping the live crowd will give it more of a chance than what it has been. The live crowd isn't always all that responsive. It's tough to get behind. Let's say your pro wrestling show has all heavyweights from start to finish, like the WWF in the 1980s, all super heavyweights, all 300 plus pounds and all 7 foot tall. After 5 or 6 matches of that, you're going, is this it? Like there's no variety. There's not a lot of variety on 205 Live. There's a variety in terms of personalities, in terms of gimmicks, but not in terms of body types. So I think that plays a role. A women's broadcast would be different. There could be heavyweights for the women. There could be lightweights. There could be everything in between. and different styles and personalities, gimmicks, and what have you. So I think that's where the women would have a leg up. And also where the WWE NXT UK would have a leg up. And where NXT has a leg up on 205 Live. Just my take. You know what I mean? It's just, when did 205 go live? 205 has always been live on WWE Network, right? But it's now going to be taped. So you can now refer to it as 205 taped. I don't know if you're going to or not. It's up to you. But that's what's going to happen now. Apparently, and don't quote me on this, but I think one week's going to be live, the next will be taped. I'm not sure. But I think it's all going to be taped now. I believe is how it's going to go. Ray's got to get back for SmackDown 1000. I'm sure, Jim, he'll be there. I'd be shocked if he didn't. I heard Batista's coming back. Nice segue from Ray to Batista. Makes perfect sense. Batista wants to come back. Then tomorrow he doesn't. It depends on what day of the week you're listening to the guy talk. But one minute he doesn't like the way WWE handle him, and the next minute he can't wait to come back. He thinks about wrestling every day. Misses it every day. I wrote that column, I think it was last week. Batista said he misses it every day. Then come back, Dave. You know, the whole thing with him and Marvel Studios and the whole controversy over James Gunn directing Guardians and then getting kicked out, and then, you know, they're going to use a script or they're not going to use a script, and Batista says he doesn't want to play Drax again unless they're using Gunn's script, unless they hire him back. It's a train wreck, man. No one can really play Drax except Batista, to be honest with you. But the last thing you want to do, as a side note, last thing you want to do is try to strong arm Marvel Studios, because you know they're going to tell you goodbye. Because, you know, Terrence Howard tried the same thing. He wanted a bigger payday to continue playing Rhodey in the Iron Man films. Next thing you know, Don Cheadle's showing up in Iron Man 2 in the courtroom scene at the beginning of the film. So no one's replaceable, folks. Excuse me. You can argue that in WWE. You can't argue that in films. You can replace anyone. I know that sounds crazy for a lot of characters, beloved characters. But it can be done. And I hope it's not done in Batista's case. Would I like to see Batista back? Sure. Why not? You know what I mean? But this time, let's work on the booking. If you want him to be babyface, fine. But let's lead off with the goodwill he's built up as a result of being part of the Marvel Studios, being part of the Marvel Universe. Let's lead with that before leading with anything else, and I think it would be fine. Except Robert Downey Jr., he is not replaceable. Well, okay, I agree with you, Dave. Downey's the man. At the same time, Marvel's got to keep moving. You know, Downey's not going to play Iron Man forever. And that's not throwing shade at anyone. That's just saying that's a fact. Marvel's going to keep pushing forward. I'm thinking about doing a comic book podcast. Would you guys be on board with that? Do you know any fellow comic book nerds like yourselves? Because I'm one for sure. So, yeah. So, yeah, Batista's in the rumors. You know, Ray's supposedly on his way back. I mean, again, you know, like we said before, WWE seems to be reaching back to the past to continue for the future. So, yeah, let's see. What else we got going on? Let's go back to Crown Jewel for a second. The Saudi Arabia event taking place on November 2nd. Hulk Hogan is rumored to also be appearing at Crown Jewel. Now, this is a whole different thing. This is a whole different animal altogether. This is not just conversation of a past superstar returning to WWE. This is an extremely controversial superstar returning to WWE. This would be more controversial, I think, than anyone else they've ever brought back, to be honest with you, in my opinion. This is, you know, this is Hulk Hogan we're talking about. This is the same guy that used the N-word and recorded saying it. This is the same guy that had a huge scandal hit 3 years ago with the whole Gawker case and the sex tape and the racist rant, and it's a mess. It continues to be a mess. A lot of guys, a lot of gals, a lot of guys in the business, those in the locker room that night when he came back and apologized, didn't really care about accepting his apology, not because they're not forgiving people, but because they felt it wasn't sincere enough to warrant an acceptance of an apology. So, this can be a bit of a mess, and I don't know where we're going to come out on this. I guess the question I'd pose to you folks is, and someone just said, Dave says, come on, Hogan has to come back without him. There's no WWE. There's no WWE as you know it. I don't think the company would have went under had they not gotten Hulk Hogan. I do think there's a possibility the territory system may still be intact in one shape, form, or fashion had it not been for Hogan. That's just my opinion. So I'm going to pose it to you. Do they need Hulk Hogan back? He has been in the back quite often. Apologized for everyone. Said he made a mistake. Can't argue that. He has. To accept that apology. I think Hogan coming back would be awesome. All that stuff is in the past. People deserve a second chance. We've all said and done stupid things in our time. Things that we wish we could take back. I'm no different than any one of you or anyone that you know personally. I've done a lot of things in my time that I wish I could take back. That I wish I could, go back in the past and delete from my history. Mistakes I've made, errors in judgment, negative things I've said to people and about people. I don't know that I can. There's a moment in my life where I go back and say, man, I wish I wasn't racist like that. The problem with racist comments, and I don't want to get off on a rant here, as Dennis Miller would say, but the problem with racist comments is that it's not just a racist comment. It's a statement toward your character. If you are comfortable saying, if you're a white person and you are comfortable using the N-word in any shape, form, or fashion, as it were, that's a statement that's an indictment on your character, man. That suggests that there's something deeper there than just the N-word, that there's an underlying hate. I'm not saying Hogan hates anyone. That's just my take on it. People always thought HBK and Hitman would never bury the hatchet. Never say never. I get that. But those guys weren't accused of being racist either. Not that I know of. It's a different thing. I get, Andrew, where you're coming from. I couldn't agree more. At the same time, you got to take this in perspective. And this is off on a tangent as well, but just bear with me. People talk about China. China should be in the Hall of Fame. It's a crime. China had sex on tape for money. And you have to understand WWE's position to not bring her back in the fold. I'm not saying it's right. I'm not suggesting she doesn't belong in the Hall of Fame. But you have to take it with a grain of salt. You have to take it from that company's perspective. And also, the WWE Hall of Fame is the WWE Hall of Fame. It's their Hall of Fame. There's other Hall of Fames out there. And you can argue all day long that WWE's Hall of Fame is much more important than every other Hall of Fame out there for pro wrestling. And I get that. But it's their Hall of Fame. It's their decision. It's one guy's decision, basically. You have to take these cases from the unique perspective that each case exists. I'm not saying it's right. I'm not suggesting it's okay one way or the other. I'm just saying. See, do I think WWE is getting old and no real surprises anymore in independence in the future? No, Neil, I don't. Not in terms of the surprises. Independents are the future. Independents are the present. WWE's feeling the heat. Not heat in terms of competition, but the heat in terms of what's happening in the outside world around them. They know what's going on. They knew about All In. They know about the show at MSG next year for ROH and New Japan. They know all about this. It's a good thing for the business. It's good for as many companies to be as profitable as possible, because Patrick just asked me a question. Hold tight, Patrick. We're getting to it. Yeah, for real. It's great for as many companies to be profitable as possible. If you're a pro wrestling fan, I don't care what fan of what company you are. I don't care if you're just a Ring of Honor fan. You want as many companies in operation as possible, making as much money as possible, because the more places there are to work, the better it is for the business. The better it is for those talents that you buy their t-shirts and wear their name on your chest and on your back. The better it is for the business as a whole. If you're a WWE fan, you should want Ring of Honor to be successful. You should want New Japan to be successful. You should want Impact Wrestling to keep going. You shouldn't want Impact Wrestling to sell to WWE. It's a bad idea. It's a bad move for the business. I'm sorry. It is a bad move for the business, in my perspective. And someone just asked me the question, is Impact Wrestling selling to WWE? It's on the topic today, on the topic list. There was a story that came out this week that actually last week, I don't know how this didn't get out last week. PW Insider, give credit where it's due, reported, I think initially, that executives from Impact Wrestling met with officials from WWE in Connecticut last week at WWE headquarters. That's the scuttlebutt running around right now online. And a lot of people, it's like a hand from a hot stove. Oh my God, they're going to sell Impact. Supposedly, WWE and Impact wanted to sit down face to face it wasn't Triple H or Vince McMahon, but it was Triple H's guys in the room, like his suit and ties. I don't know who we're talking about. I have no idea. Don't quote me on that. Don't know. But they sat down behind a table just to have a friendly conversation. Supposedly, Impact swears they're not up for sale. Here's my take on this. Impact should not sell out. And if the company ever comes up for sale, they need to look for as many investors as humanly possible, in every way humanly possible, to try to stay on the air. I'd go anywhere I could go to find funds and to keep myself rolling along, because Impact Wrestling needs to keep going. If I sat here and told you I watch the product every week, I'd be lying. I try to catch as much as I can. It's difficult. Impact Wrestling is dying. Michael, I hope that for all of our sake, you're wrong. I'm not saying they've got the greatest product out there. What I am saying is they need to keep pushing ahead. Keep doing what brings you to the dance, and keep trying to get better. Keep trying to sign talents. If you can make a play for Chris Jericho, make the play. Get him involved. Get him involved in some capacity. Make a working relationship with New Japan or anyone else you can, and they have in the past. I mean, Kazuchika Okada spent like 2 or 3 years there before he became the Rainmaker, right? So do everything you can to keep your name out there. Impact should be mentioned along the same lines as Ring of Honor and New Japan, in my opinion. It's not by a lot of fans, but it should be. It's got to keep going. If this is important, folks, you shouldn't want Impact to close its doors. You should want them to get better and to succeed. I know they've had a lot of time to get there. Trust me, I know. But they've got to keep pushing ahead, man. Competition is good for the business. Reputable companies, successful companies that are out there, that gives these men and women, different opportunities to get out there and ply their craft. That's important to the business, to the success of the business, to the sustainability of the pro wrestling business as a whole. WWE cannot continue to be the only game in town. It can't, folks. You guys have to see that. So you can criticize Impact. I have before as well. I'm in the same boat with you. But I want to see them succeed. I want to see them get better. People don't realize that WWE can buy ROH and TNA, but they don't. Why? WWE needs better writers. Maybe I missed the full thrust of that comment. They don't need to buy anyone. They don't need to. To that point, if I can expand upon that for a moment, if your favorite stars from New Japan and Ring of Honor and Impact came to WWE, would WWE even do the right thing by them? I wrote a column today for another website, actually for thechairshot.com. And it's about Shinsuke Nakamura. And yes, I'm wearing, I think this is his original shirt when he came to WWE. So that column specifically talks about where Shinsuke is right now in the grand scheme of things for WWE. He's not in the main event. He's not the top guy. He's not the WWE champion. But does that matter? You know what I'm saying? Does everyone have to be on the top level in order to be considered successful in WWE? I submit that they don't. My question is the company doing right by a certain man or woman? Are they doing right by them? Are they giving them everything they can? If they're giving them every opportunity to succeed, if they're not, then they're obviously not doing right by them. So, it's a tough call, man. It's a tough call. Someone just said, I don't understand the 6-sided ring. Talking about Impact. A lot of guys have said they hate the 6-sided ring because it's dangerous, because it's hard to work with, that kind of thing. The whole thrust of TNA's 6-sided ring at the very beginning was to look different. Yes, it was an octagon kind of idea for MMA, obviously. But at the same time, it was to look different, to stand out. That's the thrust of it. If there's anything else to it, I'm not sure. But I thought that's what it is. Talking about storyline writers. I got you. So that brings up an interesting point as well. I think someone last week or the week before that, because basically every week someone says WWE story writers suck. And I get that. I understand the complaint. Because a lot of what they do is, head scratching. But we could say that with any pro wrestling company. For real, right? There was just as many head scratching things that can happen in New Japan as there are in Ring of Honor, as there are in WWE and Impact. That's the truth. Sometimes we don't understand what's going on right now, because today what happened is just a precursor to what's going to happen next week or next month or next year. And when you put all the puzzle pieces together, they fit and make complete sense. I'm not saying that's the case every time. And I think more often than not, it does feel as though WWE writers are flying by the seat of their pants, dude. But, in my opinion, that's, it's it's a double-edged sword. People want storylines. People want it to make sense. But then they bash every single moment, every single chapter of every single storyline without fully understanding where it's all going just yet. I've been as guilty as you or anybody else has of not being patient enough to see the finish line. It's hard. We want instant gratification. There's a lot of stuff said about pro wrestling fans. We're hard to please. We're this, we're that. But it's true. We want instant gratification. We want the payoff right now. And the truth is, the payoff can't always be right now. It takes time, man. It takes time for these companies to plan and plot and scheme, as it were, and to move ahead. We're going to hope that WWE is planning for the future, that they're not just flying by the seat of their pants. That's me talking. See, Matt Hardy should be writer for WWE. He has wild ideas that will work. Give him a chance. Better than what you're seeing now. I'm assuming how you finish that. I don't want storylines. I hate entertainment. I want wrestling. Dave, I get that, Dave. But listen, if you say to me you want the wrestling and you appreciate the old school NWA, I'm assuming that you do, Dave, because old school NWA is where it's at. I'm sorry, I'm an old school guy. I still love the territory days of the business. My favorite time, actually, to be a fan. Always will be. I love Dusty versus Rick, but there were storylines to that also. There's a story there. It may not have been 12 guys and gals sitting at a big conference table talking about it, but there was a story there as well. WWE Pro Wrestling needs storylines. You need storylines. It doesn't mean they have to be elaborate. It doesn't mean they have to be Hollywood productions, for crying out loud. I get what you're saying. But pro wrestling needs storylines because it has to have some sort of basis of a story to get a point across. You see what I'm saying? If you throw two guys in the ring, if you had a pro wrestling show and you had 6 matches, throwing the number out there, and you had 6 matches of there was 2 cats in each match, working a match, no story. They just came in, worked a match, and left. Came in, worked a match, and left. Came in, worked a match, and left. At the end of the night, you're going, man, that was fun, but what happened just now? Now, you can say that WWE has conditioned you to want that, or better yet, in my opinion, you could say the pro wrestling business as a whole has conditioned you to want stories. There's always a great story. The story of Dusty Rhodes versus the Four Horsemen. The story of, the son of a plumber, the common man versus the elite versus the corporate America. That's a story. That's a storyline, man. Do you see what I'm saying? You have to want that. You have to want that. There are storylines at the root of every great professional wrestling event. I can see your point, though, that you want it to be. How about this, Dave? Can we agree on this? Maybe get it a little bit more basic. This guy has a problem with this guy. They're going to sell it in the ring. That's why I was so high on Jeff Hardy versus Randy Orton, Hell in a Cell. And I was right. That match delivered. Or can we all agree on that? It's a very simple premise, not very complex. Randy has a problem with Jeff. Jeff has to fight back. They're going to sell it like men in a steel cage. There you go. Simple. Keep it simple, stupid. It's the KISS principle. It's what works every single time. Just keep it simple. She has, all right. She's champion, but she wormed her way into my life and stole my opportunity. She's no longer my friend, and I'm going to let her know it. I want what's rightfully mine. That's Becky and Charlotte. There's a simple story there. We can take it, bend it, and twist it, and shape it, and ride it all day long like a horse, man, and get upset and get mad and panic and all this other stuff, and we all do it. Don't tell me you don't, because you're lying if you do. Don't work me, man. I've been worked by the best. Trust me. I know how to work a crowd. Believe that. Don't work each other on that, man. You all know you lose sleep over stuff that you can't change. I do too. Shut up. We all do it. But at the end of the day, we're kind of doing it for no reason. I can sit here right now and tell you that I think that Nakamura's heel turn at WrestleMania 34 was ill-advised. It didn't need to happen. At the same time, I can tell you this. Nakamura as a performer, as an athlete, as an entertainer, folks, it would take a challenge like that and say, let me have it, let me run with it, I'll make the best of it, and I'll get over. Can we agree on that? Because it's up to the individual talent what they can or cannot make the best of, what they are or are not capable of. You see what I'm saying? And do you think Shinsuke is going to lay his head on his pillow tonight and worry about what Tom thinks in Conover? Of course not. He can look at his social media and see what Tom wrote or what you say or what any rest of us says. Now, that's not to suggest that it doesn't matter what we say. If it didn't matter what we said, they would never use social media on Monday Night Raw or on SmackDown Live or online on the website. Believe that. They're listening right now. They're like Big Brother. Big Brother is watching. They know what you're saying. Whether or not they care to do anything about it is an entirely different thing. But don't be under any illusion to the contrary. WWE hears everything you're saying, and yes, they see it, and yes, they hear you. It's a matter of whether or not they will choose to act upon what you're saying, whether or not they will choose to act upon what they hear from you. That's an entirely different subject. But yes, you have a voice. Yes, you make it known. Yes, they're reading this. Yes, they're hearing this. They always hear it. Someone in that company is making a point to listen, to read, to hear what you're saying. Don't believe that they're not. I've been guilty in the past of saying that WWE, they don't care what I think. They don't care what you think. I think to a certain extent that may be true. At the same time, I don't believe that either, because I know they care. I know they care. You see what I'm saying? It's a matter of whether or not they will do anything about it. If they've already got a course set in motion, they're not going to change it 9 times out of 10. Wish AJ Lee and CM Punk would come back. Hello, Nancy. Everyone say hello to Nancy. I'm going to do this every show. I haven't done it yet. How far are we into the show right now? We're like, oh my God, we've been talking for 45 minutes. Jesus, shut up. It's crazy. But I haven't pulled any strings yet this week, so that was my first one. Nancy, you were the first. Thank you. I'll say this to your point about Punk and AJ. See, I knew. I'll say this to your point about Punk and AJ. They sent Punk, and I said this before, I'm going to keep saying it. They sent Punk his termination papers via FedEx on his wedding day. They knew what day he was getting married, folks. They knew what day, the big day was for him and AJ. They FedExed the termination papers to his front door on his wedding day. I, as a man, can forgive a lot of things in my time, and I have. I can forgive a lot of people for a lot of things, and I have. Okay? Steve says, what about my comment? Steve, my apologies. Throw me your comment again, man. I missed it. Throw it to me again. I'll hit you. But I don't know if I can forgive getting fired on my wedding day. Now, I know there's more to it. I know there's fault to be had on both sides. I'm not suggesting Punk's perfect or a saint. But folks, look what they did. That company had no reservation about doing that to him. They didn't care. I think that speaks volumes for whether or not CM Punk would ever return to WWE. Having said that, I'm not going to say it's never going to happen. I'd be shocked if it happened. For real, I'd be shocked. Jim just said CM Punk is never coming back, people. Wake up, people. Jim's probably right. And you know what? Let's just leave it where it's at. Do I need to see CM Punk back in the ring? No. Would I like to? Yes. Oh my God, yes. Do I need to? No, I don't. All due respect to Punk, I don't need to see it. I've got a lot of other stuff in pro wrestling that's keeping me happy. And all due respect to Punk, if he doesn't want to wrestle anymore, he doesn't have to wrestle anymore. See, the storylines are not fair to bring someone in and give a title shot right away or back from injury. I'm going to assume that ends with a back from injury and give a title. I don't know how I feel about that, man. Can I be honest with you? I don't know how I feel about that. I think it's whatever fits the moment. I think WWE, don't quote me because I'm not sure. It seems as though WWE goes with whatever feels right now. If they know this will take off, if they feel like this is the right move for right now, they're going to do it. I think that's what a lot of that comes from when you see a guy come straight in and go straight for a title. Do you know what I'm saying? And what I'm seeing, obviously. But that's where I'm coming from. I think that they probably just shoot straight from the hip a lot of this stuff. Hey, we just signed so-and-so. What do you want to do? Book him from the title. Do it. I mean, you know, it makes waves. It gets people talking. It gets you watching. Don't tell me you're not watching. If you're not watching, you wouldn't know what we're talking about right now, right? We're all watching. You should watch. Look, man, I'm a pro wrestling fan, okay? WWE can call it sports entertainment all they want to. All they want to. It's pro wrestling. Sorry. It's what it is. And I'm always going to be a fan of pro wrestling. So I'm going to watch all I possibly can. It's all about the money. Nancy just said it's all about the money. Everyone give Nancy a hand. Because Nancy just sounded like the typical jaded pro wrestling fan. The typical jaded pro sports fan. I'm sick of this. It's all about the money. It is. Nancy's right. Sorry, folks. Nancy's 100% right. It's all about the money. And you shouldn't be mad at that. Because remember, every time you put your hands together for Seth Rollins, every time you put your hands together for CM Punk, every time you stood up and cheered when Shawn Michaels hit that elbow off the top rope and then his sweet chin music afterward, every single time you are cheering for men and or women or both that are earning money, that are making money. The more successful they are, the better they get paid, folks. You want that, don't you? I mean, do you want to see your favorites just waste away? I mean, dude, for real. Nancy just said I love your show. Thank you, Nancy. I'm going to talk to other people. Everyone relax. Nancy's a fan. We have to pay respect to the fan, for real. My company does that. I'm just kidding. Relax. I'm not going to, encourage WWE fans and then bash them over the head. But yes, it's all about the money. Yeah, of course it is. Pro wrestling promoters want to make money. That's what it's about, dude. Getting paid. Of course it's all about the money. It should be. It should be. Absolutely. You can be in the pro wrestling business for all the right reasons in your head. You can be in it because of the tradition and the history and the legacy, and I love Dusty and I love Rick, and I do. But at the same time, I got to get paid, man. I got to get paid. The first time I ever got paid to write about this stuff, I couldn't go back to anything else. No disrespect. I'm not saying I'm better than anyone else out there. The first time I got a paycheck in the mail from a website, from my services, I said, yeah, let's keep doing more of this. And not that my opinion's better than anyone else's, but once a company decides to put you on their payroll, dude, you want to feel like your work means something, that you're making a difference. That's what the men and women of WWE, Ring of Honor, New Japan are all doing. They want to make a difference. They want to contribute to the product so they can get paid. I'm sorry that that sounds superficial, but you want to feel like that your services mean something, that the content you produce is important to the company. Of course it's important. And how do you value importance in this country? In a lot of ways, in a lot of instances, money, my friend. Doesn't mean it's right or wrong. It just means that's the nature of the beast. Of course it's about money. Joseph says, I can't hate on HBK on taking the money for the Saudi show. Dude threw millions at him. Yeah, for sure. That's the buzz. Is there's a lot of bucks being thrown at Shawn Michaels, right? Would you say no? I agree with you on that. Also, someone's talking, or people are talking amongst themselves. That's cool. I love when people just talk to each other. It's awesome. I encourage debate, folks. I always encourage debate. A little off topic, but what do you think of all the wrestlers in the Marine 6? Oh, Andrew, I saw the first Marine. The Marine. I haven't seen any of the Marine since then. I say it's WWE Studios. If they want to throw all the wrestlers in a movie, have at it, man. It's not ruining my day. Perfectly fine. I feel like I got some crazy feedback going on here, some interference. It's the cord rubbing the shirt. I got this massive Shinsuke decal on my shirt for everyone that can't see this. And it's like a DJ scratching a record. It's crazy. That's where the sound's coming from. My apologies if you're hearing that. Let's see. Right Lesnar out. Never bring him back. Ray, be hating on some Brock Lesnar, man. Hogan's the next Marine. Don't be surprised when that happens, Paul. That's why they go straight to DVD. Yep. Can't argue that either. Yeah, I don't know, man. It's you want to talk about some other stuff? Yes, 12 rounds. I like 12 rounds and the second one. Which one was Dean in? 12 rounds reloaded. It wasn't bad. It wasn't great. But it wasn't bad. I'm just saying. I've seen worse. Yeah, I've seen worse, for sure. So, What else do you want to talk about? Let's talk about some other headlines hitting right now. So I got off on the tangent about Impact selling the WWE. So apparently, if we can rewind just a tick, we can move on if you want after that. So apparently the buzz is that these two sides wanted to get behind a big table, face-to-face, because WWE has used footage from TNA archives for AJ Styles, for Jeff and Matt Hardy, and I don't know if they've used any for Joe or not. And you know what? It's smart business for these companies to sit down and talk. It doesn't mean one has to buy the other. It's perfectly fine. And I don't want it to happen, like we said before. But it makes perfect business sense to sit down and discuss these things, because there's footage from before they came to WWE that folks talk about, that folks miss. People miss the broken character from Matt Hardy. They talk about AJ's rise in the business. It's hard to talk about the rise of AJ Styles or do any definitive look at his entire career without using footage from TNA. See what I'm saying? So that's supposedly why the two sides came together, just to clarify that bit of news there, so we can keep moving. Yes. Marine 7 retirement. I like that. Paul's on it today, my friend. Marine 7, the retirement. I'm be that movie announcer guy. What else is going on? Pentagon Jr. and Phoenix have been rumored to be heading to WWE for months now, especially before All In and since All In. Supposedly WWE's had their eyes on them. The Lucha Brothers, as it were. But now, supposedly, here's the latest on that, if you believe they're going to show up next week on Raw, or whatever. Supposedly, they are contractually bound to Lucha Underground through 2020. Which means that they can't get out of it. Now, can't, as my mom would say, and keep in mind I'm in the South, can't never could do nothing. So, I believe this story with as much fervor and excitement that I had, having a cup of coffee this morning. And here's why. Because this is WWE. If WWE wants somebody, they'll move heaven and earth if they want them bad enough to get them. Now, I'm not saying that this story is incorrect. I'm not saying that they won't be tied up in Lucha Underground until 2020. Maybe they will. I don't know. But I also wouldn't be surprised to see them in January in WWE. Nothing surprises me. The CM Punk part would shock me. Everything else above and beyond that doesn't surprise me too awful much. They just said, no, not anymore. They're staying. And you know what? Good for them. If they're earning a comfortable living and they're happy, good for them. Go with God. You know what I'm saying? Dude, I'm all for it. They evidently both want to get into New Japan and strengthen that relationship and build a real good relationship with that company. And more to that as well. New Japan is fun because of the diversity. WWE has diversity as well, but New Japan just has more of an international flavor to it. And maybe it's because it's taking place in Japan that I have that feeling. Maybe it's why a lot of people feel that way, but it does feel as though New Japan has more of an international flavor. So I'd love to see those two guys compete regularly in New Japan. So it's a shame they won't be in WWE. At least that's the buzz right now. But yeah, so I don't know. I'd like to see it happen. I'm not going to hold my breath on it. So listen, if you want, we could go ahead and hit on, let's see, who is my list for and someone's got a random question. Andrew, who is your list for the WWE Hall of Fame 2019? Is that Darren? Hey, Darren just hit a hot button topic that I don't know if I'm ready to talk about, because I've not talked about it on a podcast in a long time. Don't know if I'm ready for that, Darren. Thanks for the question. Don't think I'm ready for that. Everyone's chiming in too. Hardy Boys for the Hall of Fame. Joseph, you just answered my question, man, or answered the question. I say sure. Hardy Boys Hall of Fame, absolutely. Now Jeff's let's assume that Jeff's going to continue to be an active participant. When's the last time? Maybe someone can answer this. I don't know. When's the last time a guy or gal? Well, Jim Ross, I guess you could say, and Jerry Lawler, maybe. When's the last time a guy or gal was voted in the WWE Hall of Fame and then continued their career and continue doing their job every week? So let's assume that Jeff's going to continue to be an active superstar during that time. It'd be different. I say the Hardy Boys. Jim just said Bam Bam. Yes. Is Bam Bam Bigelow not in the Hall of Fame? Man, my apologies for not knowing that. Vader should be in the Hall. Is Vader not in the... Vader's not in the Hall of Fame, is he? That's right. Right? Because people were talking about, WWE waited too long, now he's dead, and they should have put him in before then. Yeah, for sure. Both guys deserve it. 110% deserve to be in the Hall of Fame. But here's my thing. Here's my take on the WWE Hall of Fame. You might be asking the wrong guy because, as I said moments ago, folks, I am a huge fan of the old NWA and the old territory days in pro wrestling. Okay, and for me, it doesn't get any better than Rick versus Dusty and the Horsemen and all that stuff, and the Russians and the Rock and Roll Express, Midnight Express. I'm going to always go back to the well of the NWA when it comes to who should be in the WWE Hall of Fame. The Midnight Express deserve to be in the WWE Hall of Fame. I'm sorry, they do. With Jim Cornette. Jim Cornette, Beautiful Bobby, Sweet Stan, Loverboy Dennis. You can make the case for Ravishing Randy. Sure. I say the Midnight Express gets in the Hall of Fame. That's my take. The fact that listen to me. The fact that Chief Wahoo McDaniel is not in the WWE Hall of Fame is a crime against nature. It's a travesty to every pro wrestling fan that's ever loved the sport of pro wrestling. Chief Wahoo McDaniel deserves to be in the WWE Hall of Fame. It's an absolute crime he's not in it yet. Absolute crime. And it needs to be rectified. Wahoo McDaniel should be in the Hall of Fame. Bob Caudle deserves a spot in the WWE Hall of Fame. 150%. Tony Schiavone deserves to be in WWE Hall of Fame. 150%. I'm sorry, he does. Magnum TA deserves to be in WWE Hall of Fame. I know his career wasn't very long, but for what he meant to the NWA, what he meant for the business, people today are still talking about Magnum TA as the heir apparent to Ric Flair. Why are people still talking about that? It never happened because Magnum's accident, but it's still happening because he deserves that talk, because he deserves to be in the Hall of Fame. I'm sorry, he does, man. Yes, the Horsemen deserve to get in. I'm glad they're in. Yes, Dusty, of course, I'm glad he's in. Absolutely. 150% on that, baby. But don't tell me the other guys don't deserve to get in too, because they most certainly do. Yes, Midnight Express, absolutely. Can see RVD? Sure. RVD has a place in WWE Hall of Fame. Absolutely. Last year, Jim inducted the Rock and Roll Express. I see Midnight Express going out. I do too. And they need to do it. Jim Cornette's got a very outspoken podcast. As I'm roaming around my house and my 10-year-old is playing the Xbox One, I won't have the headphones on. I'll just have a podcast playing on my phone. My phone's tucked in my pocket. I'm doing housework, whatever I'm doing. Yes, folks, your boy is domesticated. So, I don't know why that made me laugh. But, so one podcast, there's two podcasts I can't have on when I'm walking around the house and the boy can hear. One is a Fat Man Beyond with Kevin Smith and Mark Bernardin, which I highly endorse. The second is Jim Cornette's podcast, any of Jim Cornette's podcasts, because the dude can't talk without dropping the F-bomb. He just can't. Well, I mean, in the morning it says, good morning, how the F are you? That's Jim, right? A lot of people talk like that all the time, and that's just how they talk. So I got to be careful. But yes, he deserves to be in. If Jeff Jarrett can get in, so will Jim Cornette. Danny makes a good point. Absolutely makes a good point. Jeff Jarrett got the WWE Hall of Fame, folks. And he's the guy that Vince McMahon ripped on during the first and only ever broadcast of joint broadcast of Nitro and Monday Night Raw. And Jeff's in the Hall of Fame. Jeff started a competing pro wrestling company and he's in the WWE Hall of Fame. Yes, of course he deserves. Yeah, of course Jim Cornette deserves to be in. The Rock. Yeah, eventually, yeah. Right? The Rock's not in yet, right? It's funny because I had this discussion with somebody. I forget when it was or who it was, to be honest with you. And someone's like, "Dude, the Rock's in the WWE Hall of Fame." I'm like, "No, he's not." He's like, "Yeah, he is. Look it up." So yeah, he's not. Right? Is he? He's not in the Hall of Fame. Why wouldn't I remember that? Why wouldn't that be a standout moment for wrestling fans? The Rock going to the WWE Hall of Fame. For some reason, it's not. Isn't it odd? I don't know why he's not. I think it could lead the class next year. That's just me. Let's see. What else we got going on? Thought he was. Yeah, I did too. A lot of people did. We never talked about Hell in a Cell. You guys want to get back on Hell in a Cell? The show is called Shawn Michaels and the Fallout from Hell in a Cell Fallout. What did I call the show? I don't even remember. I'm going to have to go back and look that up. Or listen, I should say. Your boy's constantly researching. I'm just saying. Let's talk about the Fallout from Hell in a Cell. If you haven't watch the show, if you haven't watched the show, spoiler alert, SmackDown Tag Team Champions, The New Day defeated Rusev Day. Since then, Aiden English has turned on Rusev. For what reason, we don't know. And it makes no sense, right? I don't know. Aiden English in Chapter 3 of his WWE career. Chapter 1 was him and Simon Gotch. Chapter 2 was with Rusev Day. Chapter 3 is probably working as a jobber in the squash matches in the curtain jerk of the show. I'm just saying, you take him away from his most successful gig to date, and now you're going to expect him to swim on his own? I don't know. Let's see what WWE has planned for him. There again, we can't see the finish line, right? We'll see what happens. Randy Orton, as we talked about before, he did defeat Jeff Hardy Hell in a Cell match. Jeff took that dive through the table, so that was intense and extreme. Of course, it's extreme. It's Jeff Hardy. Becky Lynch defeated Charlotte Flair. She is the new SmackDown Women's Champion. They had heat again, another spot. The rematch is coming up, right? And Becky wanted Charlotte to put the title around her waist. We all know that's not going to happen. So this is an interesting feud. We're not going to spend a lot of time on this because we've spent the past 2 weeks on it, I believe. Raw Tag Team Champions Ziggler and McIntyre defeat Ambrose and Seth Rollins. They keep the championships. AJ Styles defeats Samoa Joe, keeps the WWE Championship. Miz and Maurice in a highly forgettable match, I'm just saying, versus Daniel Bryan and Brie Bella, defeated Bryan and Bella. Ronda Rousey, of course, defeated Alexa Bliss to retain the Raw Women's Championship. And, of course, your boy, all of you love him to death. Universal Champion Roman Reigns versus Braun Strowman ended in no contest. When Brock Lesnar returned, we watched that match together here as a Wrestling Rumors family on Facebook Live. Tell me it wasn't fun. If you tell me, you'll be lying. Okay? So, yeah. Anyone want to talk about SummerSlam? Or are we just moving on to the Hall of Fame? Maybe we should change the name of this particular episode. Well, we can't. I just introduced it at the beginning. It's too late for that. Let's see. Jeff Hardy was the better story. Cut it short for no reason whatsoever. Maybe. I'm going to reserve judgment on that. It was a good match. It was good and vicious and nasty and evil and mean the way it needed to be. Let's see. Andre, what's up? Andre, have you hung out with us before? I'm not sure. I think the Hart Foundation should be in. Yes. Yeah. That seems like a good call, especially with Jim Neidhart's passing. I'll say yes to that. Let's see. What's the point of Brock coming back so he can get a Universal title match that's going to happen at Crown Jewel, November 2nd, between him and Braun and Roman. Triple threat. That's what it's for. Right? Yes. That's what it's for. Let's see. Yes, because at Super Showdown, it's the Shield to face the Dogs of War. And we all insist that Braun call the team that, and WWE call the team that from now on because it's such a good name. See, Jim just ripped on WWE booking. Nice WWE live streams the whole pay-per-views on Facebook now. Are they doing that? I wasn't aware of that. I got the network. That's how I watch them. See, Brock came back because he retired from UFC. He didn't retire from UFC. Brock's going back to UFC. He's going to get a title shot against Daniel Cormier at the first of the year. Unless something happened within the past 24 hours I'm not aware of. He's getting a title shot against Daniel Cormier, right? I mean, again, unless there's some kind of hot button headline I haven't read yet. But yeah, WWE's going to continue to use him. And you know, remember earlier in the show we talked about stuff that we can't change. We're all getting upset about it and crying, yelling and screaming and bashing our head on a brick wall about it. This is one of them, folks. You can't fight this, man. Can't fight City Hall. It's the truth. Can't fight WWE corporate. They're going to do what they're going to do. The only thing we can do is just sit back and try to understand what it all means in the long run. I'm not really even sure what it all means, to be honest with you, but I know I don't want to see Brock Lesnar with the Universal Championship again. Doesn't mean it won't happen. I don't want to see it. Someone said he just retired. There again, if you know, you may know something I don't. But you know, we've got this lovely tool called the internet, and believe me, it's a tool sometimes, if you know what I'm saying. Let's see. You hear the typey type? Let's see. No, the last headline about Brock Lesnar retiring from UFC was in early 2017. So no. No. As of right now, he's definitely coming back, and they're setting up him and Dana Cormier. Don't be surprised when he becomes UFC champion. Just saying. He knows UFC is going to drug test him. He stopped. So he's in the drug testing phase now. He stopped juicing. Just goes to show what a joke. Okay, Dave brings up a good point. Brock's body has changed. Brock's becoming a man, kids. He's hit that ever important moment in time in his little life. Brock's becoming a man. That was funny. I couldn't pass that up. But Brock is in the drug testing phase to return to UFC. Yes, his body has changed. Here's my take. We said this last week on the show. Maybe it was during the main event of Hell in a Cell. Either way. Brock Lesnar was in pro wrestling shape. There's a difference between pro wrestling shape and UFC fighting shape. Two different things. So, in my opinion, Brock is doing to his body what needs to be done. I'm not suggesting Brock is clean as a whistle because I don't know. I'm not also suggesting that Brock is doing anything illegal because I don't know that either. I can look at him and say all kinds of things. I don't know. I have a real problem, and this is just my soapbox moment, like I don't have 1,000 of them every show. But I have a real problem with anyone that starts pointing fingers at pro wrestlers and saying he or she does or does not juice. I don't know. I have a real problem with people throwing around unwarranted accusations or unfounded accusations or unproven accusations. I just have a problem with that because I hear people outside pro wrestling circles do it, and it infuriates me. You know, Eddie Guerrero died because of steroids. You see what I'm saying? So-and-so died because of steroids. So-and-so did what he did because of steroids. Come on. So I have a problem with that. Before the body's even cold, no disrespect, outside people are talking about how it happened, why it happened. Stop, man. That's why I have a problem with that. It's just me. He failed a test. What proved it? Dave, yeah, he failed a test, but is he clean now is what I'm saying. Is he clean now? Has he failed a test now? I'm not saying the guy's innocent. I'm not saying that there's not a history there. There's obviously a history there. What I have a problem with is people suggesting that it's happening right now. I don't know. Now, if he fails a drug test today, I'll eat my words and I'll say you're right, 100%. Apparently he's doing that now. But, I don't know if he is now. I have no idea. I can't speak to that because I'm not the guy testing him. Don't know. If he wants to get back in UFC, he better keep himself clean or they won't let him back in. Because Dana White's made it abundantly clear with other guys in the past, most notably in my mind, and I can't remember his name. The kid that just signed with NXT. Matt Riddle, yes? Made it abundantly clear with Matt Riddle, this kid can't stay off drugs. He's staying out. I don't want him. Right? So, that's my take. Look at John. Danny, my man, I would love to talk about UFC. I don't know enough about it because I don't follow the product. I'm not hating on it. I just don't. I know that John Jones has been in trouble over multiple, right? Failed drug tests and whatnot. I don't know what's happening with the guy. I was asked one time, more than once, you ever going to write about UFC? I'm like, I don't know enough about it. It would be out of my comfort zone. I can't say I've never covered UFC because I covered Punk's fights and I covered Brock Lesnar's return and everything. But as a rule of thumb, I'm not comfortable because I don't know enough about it. I just don't know enough about it. But for anyone that steps into any sort of fighting environment, this goes for boxing too, and that boxing gets a lot of hate thrown at it, and it deserves it in a lot of ways. Any man or woman that steps into any sort of fighting arena has my respect. I'm not doing it. I've been in a pro wrestling ring. That sucker hurts like crazy. You know what I'm saying? I have a lot of respect for anyone that goes in there, whether it's pro wrestling or mixed martial arts or any sort of combat sport, has my full respect. 110%. Let's see. What else we got going on? Hey. Mark says hey. Everyone tell Mark hey. I do that too. I always start the show with hey. All three of my podcasts I start with hey. I have no idea why. I'm one hey away from being a Cosby kid. Just saying. Don't even want to throw hate at that. I was a huge fan of Fat Albert as a child. My son was too. He couldn't say it. He could say it, but he tried to say it like Fat Albert, which is hilarious. Mark is a pro wrestler in Tennessee. Sweet. So Mark brings up something I've been asked a lot on recent shows here, Mark, and just bear with us here, folks, if you will. Me and Mark's going to have a chat. I've made the statement that I was in the business, and I was. I got in around the year 2000. I got in after, this is a true stories from Tom Clark. It's my new podcast. I'm joking. I got in after a really nasty breakup, and I've always been a pro wrestling fan. I've always been a writer. I was not writing about the business at that time, but a really, really good, a lifelong friend of mine was in the pro wrestling business here locally in North Carolina. And he kept wanting me to come by the show, and I just never did. Like a lot of other people, I looked at it and I said, it's local pro wrestling. It's ridiculous. It's backyard. I didn't know what I was talking about because the first time I went to a show, I was hooked. He got me in, got me backstage, made me part of his. We had a little heel group running. He made me the manager of it. Most fun I've had in my life, can I be honest? I shaved my head. I wore black leather, and we all dressed in black and had shades on 24/7. We lived the gimmick, man. Right? And most fun I've ever had. I went from being a heel manager to writing storylines for this small little promotion we're working in. When I say small, I mean small. I mean, we were playing to a crowd of 50 to 60 to 75, maybe 80 folks at our best on Saturday nights. The problem is the small town we ran in North Carolina, we ran every single Saturday night. We burned the town out. We killed it. Right? Heels rule, bro. Yes, sir. By the way, yes, sir, they do. Absolutely. Had the most fun as a heel. You know why? Because I could have the worst day of my life at work or with a girl or in life in general, and I could take it all out on everyone that night, and I was happy to do it. It was the most fun. I could just, be a jerk, which is my natural inclination. I don't know why that is. I'm geared in a certain way, folks. I'm just saying. Being a heel's fun. That's my point. But I started writing storylines for the group. Had a blast doing that. I got thrown around, tossed around, as many managers often do. The problem with me was I was 6'3" and over 300 pounds at the time. It was hard to toss me around. We had big guys, but sometimes I was the biggest guy around at the ring. It was hard unless you just sneak attack me. Why would you sneak attack a heel unless you're another heel, right? So it was tough to get the drop on me. Plus I had like 12 guys backing me up in my group there. So I did work a match against the promoter, took a chair shot to the head, that I knew was coming, but like an idiot I did this, and I threw my head back because I knew it was coming. You could see it on tape, and he was swinging. It was too late, man. Cut me open legit. It cut me open the hard way, right? I hit the mat. I was out cold. I blacked out for, it probably was no more than 20 seconds if I had to count. I don't know, but I just remember the promoter covering me and cursing and talking to me in my ear saying, dude, talk to me. Are you okay? You're okay. And the coolest part of that for me was Jimmy Valiant. We had him up, the Boogeyman. We had him up for the show that night. He was backstage and watched the match in the locker room. That was pretty cool. And the next day we drove to Virginia to his wrestling school. And we're in the little facility there with all his boys. He's training. He's got a ring there. He calls me out in front of all of his guys and says, my man right here took an unprotected chair shot. Look at that knot on his head. And I'm like, yeah, it's me. They're all looking at me like I'm some sort of hero or something. And I'm like, see the big knot I didn't throw my hand at him. He's like, listen, don't be a hero out there. You want to be wrestling for 10 years, man. Put that hand up, protect yourself. My man here didn't do it. And he looks great because, he's in the trenches with those guys, but, let's be smart. So that was a cool moment for me. I've never forgotten that. So, sorry I got off on a tangent. People have been asking me. Here's the bad part. I got pictures that I can post and stuff of me in the business. I don't have a lot of video. I got like an old VHS tape because we weren't digital, my man. Not then. So I still keep in touch with a lot of the guys online and stuff, and it was a great time. I miss it, to be honest with you. Keith just got here. Keith, you missed a whole hour, dude. What's up? Listen, everyone tell Keith that the show is on at 12 o'clock p.m. Eastern Standard Time live every Friday on Facebook. Keith, you're getting called out, man. You should be ashamed of yourself. Shame on Keith. Shame him. You're like the New Day, dude. More like shame you like the New Day. Shame. I'm just playing, Keith. What's up? Got off work late. Hey, I hear you there, man. Work sucks. I'm just saying. This is fun. This is reality. My other reality. I got two realities. One is the job that we don't talk about. Thanks, Keith. Appreciate it. This is the other reality that I spend every waking moment at night writing about and podcasting about and doing this stuff with you guys. So it's a blast. I feel like it's about time to wrap it up, even though Keith just got here. Now that Keith's here, we can all leave, right? I'm just playing. It's just playing with you. Let's see. It is on at 10 o'clock in Wyoming. Yes, Andrew, yes. That's why I say 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Andrew's in Wyoming. Man, we got some folks out west. To me, that's far west, man. I'm just telling you. So, anyway. We've been hanging out for a little over an hour. We didn't cover a lot of SummerSlam stuff. I feel like everyone's kind of moved on from. We're already looking to the next thing. So we'll see what happens there. Is there any more topics you guys want to cover before we split here and call it a day? Anything else? 9 a.m. in California, Danny says. All right. Ambrose. Someone just said Ambrose. What is your opinion? We can talk about that if you want to. What is your opinion, John says, on Baron Corbin being active GM? I think it's not very pleasant. The point was made, not to take stuff from other people, the point was made this week on Wrestling Observer Live, actually, that they announced Baron Corbin for the main event of the show in the very first segment of Raw, or second segment, whatever it was, and then the ratings dropped off at the end of the show. There's a reason for that. I've seen competing opinions and differing opinions on this. Folks talking about, oh, he's in his element, Tom. Oh, Tom, Baron Corbin's found his calling. Baron Corbin's very rehearsed. When Baron Corbin speaks, it's as though he rehearsed a line backstage before. Like right before he goes live on the camera, they hand him something to read, and he puts it in his pocket, and then he says it out loud. He recites it. I have a problem with that. Ugh. It doesn't feel natural. I'm not hating on the guy. Just not my cup of tea. I'm not saying he can't get better. But it just doesn't feel natural to me, to be honest with you. You're going to think this is silly. If it were me, I would take Baron Corbin and put him at the head of the Forgotten Sons that's currently in NXT. Which, by the way, Gunner, whose uncle actually worked for me, to be honest with you. So I've met Gunner at an indie show. We've talked about family and stuff like that. Gunner very much deserves where he's at right now, to be honest with you, and I hope he gets to the main roster sooner rather than later. Great worker, really is. And that little group is good. They can capitalize on the Sons of Anarchy gimmick, which I think is a smart idea. But I would have kept Baron Corbin with the hair and the biker gimmick, and it's a shame the timing didn't work out any better, is what I'm saying. Son Dave just said Corbin is terrible. I'm tired of heel authority figures, brother Dave, preach, Dave. WWE has an obsession with the heel authority figures. We can do a whole show on this. I think I have. I have to go back and look through the archives. I'm pretty sure I've done a whole show on this. Yeah, they're obsessed, my man. Obsessed with it. Oh, it's crazy. I don't even know why it is. I don't even know why they are. They feel like it's the only way they can do their business. I disagree, but it's what they've programmed. It's what they're used to. It's what they do. So, Robbie just said make Booker T Raw GM. Yeah. How about we just eliminate the GM concept? Or make them an off-air, where's Bob Geigel when you need him? You only saw Bob Geigel when you had to. Or when Magnum TA punched him. Right? That's the only time you saw him. Old school reference there for you. Jeff Jarrett is GM of Raw. Ooh, that would be interesting. But as long as I don't have to see him do that stupid strut in the ring, because I hate that crap. I'm just saying. Let's see. Corbin Biker gimmick reusing. Yeah. Well, it's your opinion. You could always say it's Undertaker's biker gimmick. Same. What advice do you have for someone that wants to get into wrestling? Andrew. Oh my God, what a great question. Andrew, as a wrestler, find a reputable wrestling school that's not going to take your money and teach you a bunch of rest holds. Find a school that has graduates that have went on to do good things. Better yet, I don't know, Andrew, I don't know where you are in the world. Did you say California? Find someone that's made it from one of the wrestling schools and then go to that wrestling school and ask to just come in and look at their facility. They'll let you in, okay? Just ask to take a tour of the place. They shouldn't charge a penny for that, shouldn't. And then find out what the price is. Because keep in mind that this stuff won't be cheap. To get good training is probably not going to be cheap. But also keep in mind, a lot of guys out there just want to take your money and leave you there. Andrew's in Wyoming. Okay. Don't know what kind of pro wrestling schools you have out there, Andrew, but I would find a reputable pro wrestling school that has graduates that have went somewhere and that have made names for themselves. Now, that doesn't guarantee anything. However, it would give you maybe a leg up on other schools that are out there. That's my take. You can take that and run with it. That's my opinion. But I would Google every pro wrestling school that's near you that you're able to get to, that's reasonable for you to get to, and see who's graduated from there, and see what the buzz is online. Because folks, if there's bad stuff to say, you're going to find on the internet. Yes, that's me talking. How about getting into writing about wrestling? Just start writing, Jim. Just start doing it. Just do it. Start a blog for yourself. Go to Wix. It's free. You don't have to have a domain name. You don't have to pay for anything. Just start a blog. It's free. That's how I did it back in the day. It was 8 years ago I started. Remember GeoCities? Yahoo had a site called GeoCities. We could build your own website. I didn't buy a domain name. I just did it myself. And I had my own blog, which I'm sure is gone by now. But that's how I started. Repetition. You need practice. You need to write about it. My suggestion, Jim, is you can go into the Howard Stern part of it where you're very salacious and you're outlandish. Sure. But in my opinion, to build a reputable reputation, to build a good reputation online, to build a name for yourself online, involves a lot more than just, hey, look at me, I'm loud and I make a lot of noise and you got to listen to me because I'm edgy. To me, that doesn't get anything. You're welcome, Andrew. I don't think that gets you very far. Can I put it to you this way? The last 2 pro wrestling websites that I started writing for, the comment was made flat out in print in an email answer was, Tom Clark is an absolute yes. And that's not because of, oh, Tom's so good. I have a reputation, man. 8 years of this online. I spent, 7 years on Bleacher Report as a paid featured columnist. That says a lot too. I've got 8 years worth of columns. I wrote 1,278 pieces for Bleacher Report in my 7 years there. So you have to have a reputation, but you got to build that reputation, man. You got to build it. So Shelby just ripped on Corbin. I can't. I mean, he's no charisma. Baron Corbin, no charisma. He's flat. But yeah, just be concerned with building your reputation, one column at a time, and leave yourself room to be wrong, Jim. We all need to do that. You need to leave yourself the room to be wrong. Can I be honest with you? My first column ever, this is going back a long time, my first column ever for Bleacher Report was called The Undertaker Overhyped. That's what I felt. That was my opinion. I'm old school. I have a problem with the guy setting up in the middle of a match and not selling a move. I use that as the basis for ripping on Undertaker. I spent the entire column doing it. I can tell you that 8 years later, that opinion has changed. I don't have that opinion anymore of Undertaker. I don't see him anymore like that. I've matured as a pro wrestling fan. My opinions have matured and they've changed. You have to be willing to leave yourself open. Don't be closed-minded about anything you write about. So, Jim, message me when the show's over here. All right, send me a message, Jim. We're friends on Facebook, aren't we? Instant message me when the show's over. Sound good? Okay, so there's a lot of other stuff going on right now in pro wrestling. I think we've talked about, the hottest headlines of the day, that kind of thing. So I think it's time to take it home. We've got a lot of other stuff to talk about, of course. We can do it next week. No one knows what's going to happen this coming week. So hopefully something cool is on the horizon for the business. So we always keep our fingers crossed. Good stuff happening right now. There's New Japan programming happening this weekend, I think. So that'll be fun. If you haven't got a chance to watch Kenny Omega versus Ishii from last week, you need to go watch it. It was a good match. Very good match. Very hard fought match. Ishii's not a dude I'd ever want to have upset at me, man. The Stone Pit Bull. That's a shoot, brother. I'm just saying. So that's my recommended viewing. Maybe I'm going to start giving you a recommended viewing at the end of every show. How's that sound? Okay, everyone's splitting. We're going to split too. Listen, thanks everybody for tuning in. Thanks for hanging out with us. We do appreciate your business as always. Thanks for spending an hour and a half or so with us every Friday. We're going to remind you that Tom Clark's Main Event is live on Facebook every Friday at 12 p.m. That's Eastern Standard Time. Tune in on Wrestling Rumors Facebook page, and your boy's going to be here at 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I can't say 12 sharp. Sometimes I'm a bit late after that. Andrew, thank you. Thank y'all guys for tuning in. Remember, you can find all my stuff at Boink Studios. You can find me, of course, on Wrestling Rumors. You can also find me on the Sports Daily. You can also find me on the Chair Shot and a new website that, not a new website, but new to me. I'll be starting a brand new gig for at the beginning of October. I'm jacked to the moon about that, man. So hang tight for that. I'm anxious to get started. Can't wait to get started. I'll tell you more about that as it gets here. Follow me on Twitter at Tom Clark Writes, W-R-I-T-E-S. If you're so inclined, Tom Clark Writes. If we are not friends on Facebook, send me a request on Wrestling Rumors Instant Messenger, and I will accept your friend request. And then we can be pals, buddies, chums, compadres, amigos. Sound good? Sounds great. Thanks, everyone, for watching. Thanks for the words of encouragement. I do appreciate it. Come back next week.